Bring crust me, and I'll stick you in a home.
At 70, needing care, I was on the receiving end of these ruthless words from my daughter-in-law. My son just turned a blind eye to her behavior. Ever since I lost my husband to illness a year ago, the harassment from my son and his wife has only escalated. In this house, I had no allies, no place to belong. So, I decided to graciously accept my daughter-in-law's kind suggestion. I had a plan to execute a counterstrike against my son and his wife. My name is Brittany. I'm a 70-year-old housewife. My term of re-employment had come to an end, and I was looking forward to a peaceful retirement with my husband. Until a year ago, that is, suddenly, my husband passed away from a heart attack. No warning, he was just gone to heaven, and I was left in deep sorrow. I wasn't prepared emotionally, and soon I lost my appetite for food.
But there they were, my son and his wife, gleefully talking beside me. The life insurance is ours, right? How much do you think we'll get? They chatted about the payout from my husband's policy.
It's true. My husband had run a successful business, so the insurance and estate were substantial. Watching the two of them talk only about money, I couldn't stop my tears. Why are both of them like this?
Clara, my son's wife, comes from a wealthy family, attended a girls-only school since childhood, the very definition of a lady of leisure.
She never misses a chance to boast about her upper-class background. She's led a life without want, notorious for her spendthrift ways. Alvin, my son, was coddled by his mother from an early age, growing up spoiled and arrogant. It seems he's always gotten whatever he wanted. Since my husband and I were a second marriage, there's no blood relation with my son. I've tried to be a mother to him, but he never accepted me, and I remain disliked.
If Claire hadn't gotten pregnant, I never would have approved of his marriage.
Sometimes, I can't help but lament. Given the kind of people they are, it's no wonder they were blinded by the insurance money. However, something unexpected happened. It turns out that my husband's will stipulated that I was to be the sole beneficiary of the insurance money, and all property management was left to me. Knowing this, my son and his wife erupted. That has to be some mistake. They fumed.
Why is Brittany the beneficiary? A commoner like Brittany doesn't need that kind of money. Why don't you give it to us, Asim?
As I was overwhelmed by their intensity. For smart stires, I can't target it to you. And when I refused their request, they lashed out. Why the hell not?
Exactly. Besides, Brittany is getting on in years, so it's not like she needs it for much longer.
They exploded in dissatisfaction. From then on, the harassment I received from my son and his wife only intensified. Living together, I had felt stress from Clara's remarks since she and my son first moved in. You'd think it would be the daughter-in-law who felt stressed in her in-law's house, but it seems to be the other way around in our case.
Claire appeared to take pleasure in bullying the elderly, constantly making condescending remarks every time we met.
Her complaints about the household chores were especially severe and got worse after my husband passed away.
No way. This is why I can't stand peasant cooking. It's so pathetic I can't even eat it. She wouldn't take a single bite. Even the clothes I carefully washed were rejected. In commoner households, you don't wear brand clothes, right? The washing is so rough. Could you start over, please? Ever thought of sending it to the cleaners? Use your head a little, why don't you?
Since marrying my husband, I've taken care of all the housework alone, but this was a new low. Despite my best efforts, nothing seemed to satisfy Clara. She seemed to think that housework was for commoners, and that people from affluent backgrounds shouldn't need to stoop to such tasks. I guess until now, she refrained from complaining out of respect for my husband, while he was the head of the household. Alvin, perhaps trying to keep her happy, never reprimanded her. In fact, there were times when he even joined in on her comments. The reason was that he resented me for letting the housekeepers go when I remarried my husband. His former wife had not done any housework and had employed several housekeepers. Housekeepers for cooking, shopping, cleaning, laundry, and even maintaining the large garden. Having everything done by housekeepers, my son came to see this as the norm. He would summon a housekeeper for even a simple drink and leave the used cups unwashed for them to take care of. It was quite appalling. I preferred to do the housework myself, and for my son's sake, I thought it best. So, I paid a generous severance to the housekeepers and had them resign amicably. With the housekeepers gone, I tried to get my son involved in the chores, but he always found it too bothersome to help. My efforts in education and parenting went unrewarded, and ultimately, Alvin grew up into a disappointing adult who believed money could buy everything.
So when Clara complained about my cooking, it became a routine response to suggest then, shall we dine out today?
Alvin and Clara started going out more, leaving the house empty, and I ended up living a lonely life unnoticed by anyone. One day, as I was cleaning the house like I always did, Clara came over and said, "Seriously? I'm cleaning with a mop in your hand? What era do you think this is? Could you stop with that shabby look?" Even if she says that, now that I've lost my husband, the only thing that gives me purpose is doing household chores. I'm not doing anything wrong, and I should at least be free to do the housework, shouldn't I? I surprisingly talked back to Clara.
What do you say? Don't give me that nonsense.
Maybe Clara was in a bad mood. She got angry and pushed my shoulder. Normally, this wouldn't be a big deal. But tragically, this was at the stairs. By the time I realized it, it was too late, and I had tumbled down from the second floor to the first. Even Clara must have realized this was bad because she called an ambulance. When I came to, I saw an unfamiliar white ceiling. I had been taken to the hospital, and somehow I had managed to survive. But due to my age, I had fractured my femur. According to the doctor, it would be difficult for me to ever walk freely again. I became someone who needed care. I couldn't walk freely anymore, so I had no choice but to use a wheelchair. Now I couldn't even do the one thing that gave me joy. Housework. Why did this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? But during my hospital stay, thinking about the future made me so sad I couldn't help but cry. After several weeks in the hospital, it was time for me to be discharged. But I needed someone's care to live, and I would have to visit the hospital regularly for rehabilitation. However, there was no one to take care of me. That's why I thought about getting a home helper. It's ironic that after firing the housekeeper, I would need to rely on a home helper myself.
With determination. I brought up the topic of needing a home helper to my son and his wife. For home helper, you say?
I was met with a snort from Clara and a flat-out refusal from Alvin, as if it was the most natural thing in the world.
Are you so angry with their attitude? Why are always against everything? And after all, it's all your fault, isn't it? Ivory White, Cyril destroy your ice parties.
I pointed directly at Clara and retorted.
What did I do?
Clara was clearly unsettled. It seemed she hadn't told my son the real reason why I fell.
Oh, I confronted her. It's what did you say? How dare you lie so brazenly? You were the one you pushed me down the stairs.
But she regained her composure and said, "Where's your proof?" I called the ambulance and saved your life.
Claire stated this with a calm face.
Seeing all this, my son couldn't hold back anymore and said, "Fine, then go to a facility. Honestly, we'd be happy to get rid of you."
That's a brilliant idea. Axie and Sai, if you're going to defy us, we'll just put you in a facility.
Alvin was on board with the idea, and so was Clara. I had no allies in this house, nor a place to belong.
Fine. Expect but hybridizes. Setting Masakan Spatras, Christ. Then I'll graciously accept your suggestion.
Clara let out a dumbfounded noise.
With pleasure. With you are the Spada. As better you sure you won't regret this.
Regret.
Have you finally lost your mind?
This is seriously hilarious.
Are you senile now?
Do they really think I have no plan, and I'm just going to leave the house without any thought? They can enjoy their laughter for now. I vowed to myself to get back at my son and his wife. I reached out to someone right away. It was Webster, the executive secretary who had been of great service to my late husband. I explained the situation to Webster. Understanding the predicament, Webster came to pick me up the next morning. His life in a wheelchair made it impossible for me to move around on my own, and I indeed needed help. While we were in the car, I thanked him. "I really appreciate you being here." To Webster,
"Still not at all. I'd do anything for you. I owe your husband a great debt, and more than anything, it's your own reputation that commands this respect."
As he spoke, his smile was gentle and reassuring. Webster had arranged for a hotel with practiced ease. It seemed comfortable to stay here until we found a facility I could move into, but I couldn't stay forever. While searching for a facility, I gave Webster several instructions. As I waited to get into a facility, I was also biding my time, waiting for a chance to strike back at my son and his wife. Fortunately, it didn't take long to find an available place. It was a very clean facility with a hospital attached, and I decided to move in there. Having found a safe haven, I finally put my plan into action. The counterattack was effective immediately. The first to contact me was my son, Flustered. Yes, I had removed my son from his director position at the company my husband had managed. Don't raise your voice, please. You're ruining a perfectly good lunch. If I met past, it was you. You've been filling the staff's heads with nonsense. I haven't said anything strange. I simply removed you using the proper methods. I should have started with that. You remember his will, don't you? It stated that I was to manage all the property. Property includes the company he was managing. Yes, that way. Apparently, that company belongs to me.
How's that way? I've been a customer. Currently, that company belongs for me, Regis person.
Damn it.
I heard rumors about you for a while. Some actually got our contact. Is it? Many employees seem troubled by your haughty attitude, so I asked Webster to call an extraordinary general meeting. To my surprise, your dismissal was decided unanimously.
That's ridiculous. No way the employees would listen to a housewife like you. You must have played dirty.
That's where you're wrong. It's worse. I may be a housewife now, but I used to be a management consultant. I'm the one who brought this company back in a V-shaped recovery.
That's a lie. I've heard our company was in really bad shape at one point. It couldn't have been easy to turn it around.
It's a well-known story. You might be the only one who doesn't know. Well, he never had any interest in me, even after I retired. I continued to support the company from behind the scenes. Webster, the president's secretary, and the staff are well aware of that.
That's why Webster had said I was respected.
Then, Dad's decision to choose you as a remarriage partner. I can't be sure because I didn't hear it from him, but maybe he recognized my skills, or it was love at first sight. It was quite common in those days. He probably never imagined that the stepmother he scoffed at was contributing to the company's recovery.
At this point, the son fell silent, unable to say a word. I always knew he was a sorry excuse for a son, but this was beyond my expectations. I felt my love for him fading fast. It might seem cold-hearted for a parent, but parents are humans too.
It's only natural to feel fed up sometimes. But as a last act of compassion, Jolly raised about words. I said, you know why you were dismissed, right? Once you've lended out money, people will follow you. Well, I'm hoping this experience will change you. Well,
And with that, I hung up the phone, ready to enjoy the rest of my lunch. The lunch looked so appetizing, it made my stomach growl. At 70, meeting care doesn't mean losing my appetite. I never would have guessed from my days of mourning my husband, but I'm still going strong. After finishing lunch, I was enjoying a leisurely afternoon in my room when I heard heavy footsteps in the hallway. The door burst open with a bang, and there stood Clara. She must have come without scheduling a visit. I could see the staff and nurses rushing after her. I found you. Holed up in this fancy place after I searched everywhere.
Clara exclaimed, her face beet red.
Just don't yell. People's passion to aspires. It's disturbing the other residents. Oh, this feels like déjà vu.
What are you babbling about now?
Claire snapped, irritated by my comment. I won't let you live a life of luxury all by yourself. You're the one, aren't you? The one who cut off the gas, the water, the electricity.
I'm not sure of Pider.
It's not just that. You sold the house too, didn't you? What am I supposed to do? I have nowhere to live tomorrow.
Yes, that's right. But it's my money, my property. I can do what I want, can I?
Fun.
Wouldn't hurt to use your head a little, would it? I simply echoed the words she once said to me. Give her that. Well, it says I'm in charge of all the property. You all wanted me in this facility, and I don't need that house anymore. So I thought, why not sell it? It's quite trendy, this pre-death downsizing. Great idea, isn't it? I cheerfully informed Clara.
Reach of adults. Should you be able to sort out your own housing? I saw a risk on your cat.
That's right, you can't. Not with all those missed credit card payments.
What do you know about that? It struck me as odd. You were just too desperate to get your hands on that insurance money. I had Webster dig into it. You've always had a penchant for overspending, haven't you? I suppose most of it went to your fancy clothes and bags.
Would you just shut up, acting all high and mighty?
Clara lunged at me. Right then, a security guard from the facility, alerted by the commotion, arrived and restrained her. Let go. I need to talk to her. Claire thrashed about, not caring about the onlookers. The police arrived shortly after, apparently called by a staff member of the facility. Even Clara calmed down in the presence of the law.
Aunt Clara settled. One of the officers, as if struck by a sudden thought, said, "So you are here. Ikaimeng, esquistain, distracen, bemakin bas tree for yeth, jersing."
What do you mean?
Clara looked perplexed. Overhearing the exchange between Clara and the police, everything clicked for me.
I stopped by your house earlier, but you weren't home. Wait to ask you about the recent accident or you fell down the stairs. Was you come for a voluntary interview?
Of course you referred to me.
What? But that was a real accident.
Unfortunately, Mom, it's on the security camera. That's just her sir.
The police showed Clara the footage. This was also part of the plan I had instructed Webster to implement, along with the security footage. I had the police file a report. With the increasing news about crimes targeting the elderly, I had installed a security camera just in case. It proved to be immensely useful at just the right moment.
When did you install a security camera? Claire's face went pale.
Response against the elderly seems to be on the rise too. But could we have him with you?
And with that, she was escorted by the police. The news spread quickly among the neighbors, and it became impossible for my son and his wife to live in their original home. It turned out to be a problem that existed before I sold the house. There was more to the conflict between Clara and Owen. If Clara couldn't handle the house situation, then it was up to my son. However, he didn't have the means either. My son was also using work as an excuse, indulging in what he called business dinners, which were actually club outings. It seemed he had dipped into the savings without Clara's knowledge, and the balance had nearly hit rock bottom. Eventually, both of them ended up having to work desperately. Some days later, both Alvin and Clara showed up at the facility together. It turns out Clara was charged, but got off with a non-prosecution agreement. However, she didn't have the same look she used to. She seemed a bit haggard. Finding themselves without a place to go, they pleaded, "Brittany, please help us. We apologize for everything. It was all our fault. Help me out. I'm your only dear son. Without your help, we'll be living on the streets." I had no intention of forgiving them so easily and responded with a clear voice. "I will not help you. Absolutely not." Clara, apologizing with a face wet with tears, looked miserable. But I'm not so soft as to forgive them for that. Is that all you needed? I have recreation activities now. I'll be excusing myself. This with that. I walked away briskly from them. Since then, I've not seen my son and his wife even once. From what I've heard through relatives, the couple had been going around to family members asking for money. But their past actions had spread among all the relatives, and they were shunned, left unaided. Of course, no one would lend them any money. They are apparently living in a tiny, cramped apartment that's 70 years old. They still work from morning to night, but constant fighting and noise complaints have led to several run-ins with the police. It seems that police and Clara, who visited the facility, have become something like familiar faces there. I think they might even be evicted from their apartment soon. But even if that happens, it's no concern of mine anymore. They have nothing to do with me now. There might have been a time when putting elderly people in a facility was seen as pitiful, but I certainly don't think that way. I can interact with people my own age, and there are recreational activities to maintain cognitive and physical functions. The food is better than I expected, and my room is kept clean, which makes it comfortable. Sometimes, Sir Webster, the company secretary, and the employees come to visit, which makes me happy. Sharing memories of my late husband over tea is my greatest pleasure. I've decided to live out the rest of my life here to the fullest.